Good afternoon, everyone. We're here to give you our weekly reminder that we continue to keep you all in our hearts and in our prayers through these many weeks of pandemic life. We've all come to understand over the years that there are stages in the experience and the work of grief. And while I don't know if anybody has fully and adequately named the stages of living through a pandemic, it seems like there are some.
We have gone through the earliest emergency response stage when we first learned that the virus was active in our region and had to take immediate action. We've gone through short-term planning and then reassessment and then reassessment. And now as the school year draws near and we know more about the virus than we did, we are working to find routines that will help us care for both our community connections and our physical safety.
Though there is no well-charted path, together as a faith community, we are finding our way. And as leaders and pastors, we will always value and desire hearing your perspectives and your needs and longings.
By now, hopefully you have received the Salford Reopening Update and Survey. It was sent out earlier this week in a separate email, but you can also find it in this week's newsletter. In whatever way you receive it, do please take a moment to read it through and then to fill out your responses so that we can get a good sense of what the hopes and desires of the congregation are as we seek to guard each other's health and well-being and to maintain a strong sense of community with each other. And we know that some of our well-being comes in ways we can find of being with and for each other in very real ways. So while the Reopening Task Force has recommended that until at least the middle of October, we not have any large group worship or other gatherings, either in the sanctuary or in other church spaces, we are, in the meantime, actively pursuing the possibility of some smaller groups of people getting together in person.
One of these options is a series of picnics in the Oak Grove on the church lawn. 5 or so households at a time will be able to come, bring their own food, and fellowship together. We had a chance to try out a similar method of being together over the summer a couple of times with the youth groups. And it was a really natural feeling way to be in the same place again together finally. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can find information about it in the newsletter as well. I think they will be a very enjoyable way to connect with those you haven't seen for a while or maybe even spoken with in quite a while.
And with 5 months of pandemic life now under our belts, and with a sense that we have indeed entered a longer term phase, we want very much to convey our care and concern for each of you, and to hear a bit about how you are, or perhaps aren't, feeling connected to this body of Christ at Salford.
So within the next couple of weeks, the pastoral team, with help from a lot of others, is hoping to reach each household with a phone call. We're referring to this initiative as calling through the congregation. Our hope is to learn how things are going for you. The person calling will ask several questions, and you'll get those questions from the caller just a bit ahead of being called. And of course, you're also free to share anything else that you would like to share. We will really value knowing how you are, and we will ask specifically, how connected are you feeling to your church community in these days, and what helps you with that? Calling through the congregation, in other words, is a kind of checking in that will help us care for each other well, and that will help leaders understand better how to help the church be the church in this time. So watch for that call sometime between now and the end of August. We are not alone. We have each other, and we go with God.
And in that spirit, we want to once again offer a blessing to you this day.
Salford, may the blessing of God go before you. May God's grace and peace abound.
May God's Spirit rise within you. May God's love wrap you round.
May God's blessing remain with you always. May you walk on holy ground. Peace to you this day, this weekend, dear friends.